Once, Nathaniel Westbrook had it all: wealth, power, luxury, and respect. As a young man, he inherited a fortune that most could only dream of from his late father's multi-billion-dollar corporation. His name was known in every elite circle. A Harvard graduate, Nathaniel was a man who thrived on success, with little time for anything else. He lived in a penthouse in the city, drove the most expensive cars, and dined at exclusive restaurants. But for all his accomplishments, Nathaniel's life was hollow. His days were filled with meetings, negotiations, and parties, but his heart was empty. Relationships were mere transactions, contracts with benefits, not commitments with emotions. His world was cold, and love seemed like a foreign concept, something his parents had once spoken about but never demonstrated. However, the night that everything changed began like any other. Nathaniel had just sealed another massive deal. The deal was a success, but the sense of accomplishment that used to thrill him was now just a fleeting moment. As he left his office that evening, he noticed a young woman standing outside a coffee shop, her face filled with an unusual sadness. Her eyes were soft, but there was something striking about them, as if they held a deep story of their own. Her name was Clara Matthews, a 23-year-old woman who had nothing but dreams and ambition. Clara came from a poor family, her parents struggling to make ends meet. Unlike Nathaniel, she didn't have wealth or influence, but she had something far more precious: genuine kindness and a heart full of hope. She worked 2 jobs just to pay rent, but despite her hardships, she never let the weight of the world steal her smile. Nathaniel, on a rare impulse, stopped to speak to her, offering her a cup of coffee. Their conversation was simple, but Clara's sincerity and warmth were evident. She spoke of her dreams of becoming a writer and helping her family escape poverty. Nathaniel was struck by her optimism, something he hadn't seen in years. "Why are you still smiling?" he had asked her, genuinely curious. Clara paused, looking at him, her eyes thoughtful. "Because even in the worst of times, there's always a reason to smile. There's always someone to help, even when you don't have much." For a brief moment, Nathaniel saw the world differently through her eyes, like a world filled with possibility, not just numbers and status. That night, after the brief encounter, he couldn't shake her words from his mind. But just as the light of Clara's words began to shine through Nathaniel's otherwise bleak world, everything came crashing down. A series of bad decisions, reckless investments, and unethical deals led to a massive financial collapse. One morning, Nathaniel woke up to the news that his entire fortune had vanished. His company, once a leader in the industry, was now bankrupt. The people who had once celebrated his success turned their backs on him. Business partners cut ties, friends abandoned him, and the media turned on him. The world that had once felt so secure was now a nightmare of loneliness and despair. His penthouse was sold off, his cars were repossessed, and his reputation was destroyed. Nathaniel, a man who had once been untouchable, now stood at the edge of financial ruin. In the midst of all this, Clara's image stayed in his mind. It wasn't love yet, not in the way he had known it, but it was something different, something pure. In his darkest hour, Nathaniel sought her out, wondering if the warmth of her smile could help him cope with the emptiness. He found her at the same coffee shop, working her second job as a waitress. Clara was surprised to see him, but there was no judgment in her eyes. She offered him a seat, and they began talking like old friends. Nathaniel, ashamed of his fall from grace, expected sympathy or pity, but Clara gave him neither. Instead, she simply listened. "You've lost everything," Clara said softly after a long pause. "But you haven't lost yourself. You're still here, still fighting." Nathaniel couldn't believe it. How could someone like Clara, with so little, be so full of life and understanding? For the first time in months, he felt seen not for his wealth or his status, but for who he truly was. Clara's kindness and wisdom had a profound impact on Nathaniel. He began spending more time with her, learning from her resilience and generosity. Clara showed him that love wasn't about material wealth or power. It was about caring for others, understanding their struggles, and finding strength in vulnerability. She had nothing, but she gave everything. Over time, Nathaniel started to rebuild his life, but this time, it was different. He no longer saw wealth as the measure of his worth. He learned to appreciate the little things, the kindness of a stranger, the joy of helping others, and the beauty of simple moments. Clara taught him how to live with purpose, not just for himself, but for others as well. He started volunteering at shelters, using his business acumen to help local entrepreneurs and small businesses recover from financial struggles. He used his connections to create new opportunities for those who had been overlooked. For the first time, Nathaniel found fulfillment in helping others, not just in accumulating wealth. As the months passed, Nathaniel's heart slowly began to heal. The coldness he had once felt was replaced with a warmth that he never knew existed. He realized that the riches he had once sought were nothing compared to the riches he found in human connection, in giving, and in love. One evening, as they walked through the park, Nathaniel stopped and turned to Clara. "I've spent my whole life chasing things that didn't matter. But you showed me that love, real love, is worth more than any fortune." Clara smiled, her eyes lighting up. "Love isn't about what we have, Nathaniel. It's about who we become in the process of giving and receiving. And you, Nathaniel, are becoming someone I'm proud to know." It wasn't long before Nathaniel realized that he had fallen in love with Clara. She had been the one to show him what true love meant, not the fleeting, transactional love he had once known, but a deep, selfless love that transcended everything. He no longer cared about his past mistakes or his former wealth. Clara had shown him that love, not money, was the foundation of a meaningful life. Nathaniel asked Clara to marry him in a simple, intimate ceremony in the park where they had walked together countless times. It wasn't grand, but it was perfect because it was filled with meaning, with love. Clara accepted, and together, they started a new life, one that was based not on riches, but on the priceless treasures of love, kindness, and understanding. Nathaniel never regained his former wealth, but he didn't need it anymore. With Clara by his side, he had everything he had ever wanted. He was no longer the man who defined himself by his money. He was the man who had learned the true meaning of love. In the end, Nathaniel Westbrook, the once untouchable billionaire, learned the most valuable lesson of all. He had lost everything, but in losing it, he had found the one thing that truly mattered: love. And with that love, he had gained a life richer than he could have ever imagined. If you enjoyed this heartwarming story of transformation and love, make sure to hit the subscribe button and join us on a journey of captivating tales. By subscribing to our channel, you'll be the first to watch more inspiring stories, dramatic twists, and unforgettable journeys that will keep you on the edge of your seat. From stories of love, redemption, and second chances to life-changing moments, we bring you content that touches the heart and ignites the imagination.